The following video is the product of multiple months of work and has been edited out of order for added cohesion. Beavis and Butthead are not role models. Okay, so we have goals that are different from the manufacturer on how a car is set up. They want it to be idiot resistant and not slide around at all, because if the average driver gets into a little bit of a slide, they crash because they don't know what they're doing. We're not the average driver. They also want them to be comfortable on their way to Starbucks and have good tire wear on their way to Starbucks. All of this is insanely lame and we don't care about any of it. Our goals are make the car turn as fast as possible. That's all we care about. All right, this is my autocross car, as you can see. So I want to put a little bit of an aggressive alignment on it. I want some more caster. Basically, when I'm at the autocross, I'm rolling onto the sidewall, which isn't what you want to be doing. It's not very good for handling. So basically the issue is the car is rolling too far and we're not using the whole tire. We're basically just using like this little bit right here, and it's not getting as much traction as it could be. Now, to make things a little easier on ourselves, I also went ahead and got some coilovers. They're not expensive coilovers, but you know, they're not bad. I won't say who made them, but their name rhymes with Mad Peeing Robs. So I did look at the rules for my autocross class, and it does specifically say that I can modify the top of the shock tower. So I'm gonna take that to the extreme here. I don't really have a plan here. I'm just gonna cut where it seems like it makes the most sense. Rip and tear until it is done. All right, there's a hole in the shock tower. So this is about where the strut was sitting before, but after we're done, it's gonna be like that. So that's a lot more caster. So, suspension geometry, black magic. I'm not gonna go into much detail here because I'm gonna get something wrong and make the nerds mad. And their blood pressure is high enough as it is. So basically, no caster is when the strut is straight up and down. Positive caster is when it's an angle like that. Basically, positive caster is better for handling because you get camber when you turn the wheel. And control arm angle, when you lower your car, the control arms go at a weird angle like that. They start facing toward the sky, and it causes all kinds of problems like roll center and camber loss and bad things. Basically, you can install an extendo ball joint that gets the control arm back to the angle it's supposed to be at and improves stuff, makes it handle goodlier. CAD, is that an acronym for cardboard? I can't get in here. Alright, so this is what we got. Not looking too bad. You can tell I really butted it all the way against the side of the sidewall, maximum caster. So, yeah, I'll go ahead and weld that up. That's about as race car as it gets right there. Looking good. All right, now I got the mundane task of copying what I did on that side over on this side. This week on how to destroy the resale value of your car. Still haven't bought any black paint. Made some miscalculations on this side. Had to notch the holes, so it doesn't look as clean as I had hoped it would, but oh well, function's more important than form anyway. All right, so with the wheels straight, we got about 1.5 degrees of camber. And if I turn the wheel, now we got 5.5 degrees of camber. Yeah, that's a lot of gain. We can see just the angle that it's at. Okay, so since we lowered this thing, our control arm angle is all wrong. I made these a while ago. For some reason, I thought these would work. You move the pivot point down and that fixes the control arm angle and thus the roll center. For some reason, I thought that just moving it up and that down would fix it, but I didn't move the pivot point, and I don't know what I was thinking. I wasn't thinking, that's the problem. So I got the extended ball joints from
2J Racing, and basically these just move that down because they're longer. I was reading and they said that you have to use the bump steer kit with the ball joints. So I went ahead and got that too, took their word for it. That basically does the same thing except with the tie rods, fixes bump steer, so I'm gonna do that. Okay, so I got these control arms from Rock Auto, and I tried to put the extended ball joint in. It doesn't fit, just goes right through, won't press. I checked it with the original hole, and it fits that one. So these control arms are supposed to be replacement, you know, factory replacement or whatever, but they don't use the same size ball joint. That is so stupid. So now I gotta figure something else out. So I sent those other control arms back. Got these from the junkyard, which is what I should have done in the first place, to be honest. But anyway, we got control arms now. Okay, so I installed the extendo ball joints, and the control arms are at a much better angle now. Unfortunately, they're still not ideal. I wish this thing was like an inch or half an inch longer maybe, but it's still a hell of a lot better than it was. Okay, so this bump steer kit basically just moves the tie rod and mounting point down. So the original one attached on the top, this puts a heim joint on the bottom. So basically when you start lowering your car, messing with geometry and stuff, your tie rod ends up looking toward the sky. This puts it back down where it needs to be. And bump steer is basically exactly what it sounds like. When you hit a bump, the car wants to turn. It doesn't feel very good. So basically, a better solution than this would be to cut this off, flip it around, and attach the original tie rod end on the bottom. That would allow me to move stuff around and change things like scrub radius, but this will work for now. Gotta make sure you use cotter pins on stuff like this, especially heim joints that aren't pressed in at all. They're just held in by the nut. Because if this nut backs off with no cotter pin, the heim joint just goes whoop, no more steering. Good luck, hope you hit something soft. Honestly, it doesn't feel much different so far.
Second in.
Alright, so I don't like the way this thing drives at all. The front end mods worked. We have more front end grip. We're using the whole tire now. That's good. However, the rear end refuses to come out, meaning I'm trying to rotate the car and it just sticks up, and I turn the wheel and it just plows through the turn. So we need to find some way to make the ass end of this thing come out during the turns like I want it to. Alright, so as you can see, the rear suspension on this thing is not much better than a Hot Wheels car. So usually with a twist beam setup like this, you just have a simple panhard bar to keep side-to-side play out. This uses a Scott and Russell linkage. It's got 4 layers of rubber bushings creating slop. I'd like to do away with this if I can. This is a big reason for our handling problems.
Don't use a chrome socket with the impact.
Alright, so we got our Hot Wheels suspension here. So this is called a torsion beam because it's a beam that torsions. So I need to stiffen this up, and how I'm going to do that is I'm going to weld this plate on the bottom all the way across, basically boxing it in so that the torsion beam can't torsion no more. It's going to have the same effect as having a big rear anti-sway bar. Alright, so I got these polyurethane trailing arm bushings. Unfortunately, my trailing arms are kind of rusted out, so I'll have to clean that out best I can. Press those in. So I got these bushings in, and they're a little softer than I wanted them to be, but we'll run them for now. So I'm mocking up what I need to do with my panhard bar here, and it looks like by just using the factory mounts, it's actually at a good angle already, so that's pretty convenient. So I'm gonna lower it back down, reinforce this mount, and make the bar. I ran out of good metal, but luckily I have the dirtiest, grimiest, rustiest piece of 1/8" steel known to man. Now that is a Panhard bar. Look at that. Angle is about perfect, fully adjustable, nice and sturdy. It's gonna work great. Fully adjustable Panhard bar designed by me, built by me. So if it sucks, it's on me. I'm cranking the wheel and it's still just kind of staying put. The rear doesn't want to really slide around still. Okay, so after driving it, I can tell that there's a lot less movement back here, and it does feel a little bit better, but it still won't rotate. I'm yanking the wheel back and forth as hard as I can, and the rear end just stays in place. It won't rotate around a corner at all. So there's one thing left that I can do to the rear of this car, and that's bending the beam. So basically I can cut that beam in 2 spots, bend it and weld it back up again to get some toe out, because right now the rear wheels are pointed toward each other. If we point them away from each other, that will cause the rear end to loosen up a lot. I really didn't want to do that because it's easily screw upable, but looks like I'm gonna have to. I'm gonna cut a section out of the middle of this and then bend it to get more toe out of the rear end. This will absolutely loosen up the rear of the car. Like, guaranteed, no way it does. Okay, so I cut a notch in this thing, so now just the actual twist beam itself is exposed. Okay, so I put the wheels on it, and after cutting this slit in it and smacking it with the hammer, we've got about 3/16 of total toe out. So that's quite a bit, but I really don't want to undercorrect. So I'm just gonna stick with that and weld it back up. Okay, so I got the string out. I measured rear toe out on either side on the rear. We've got a 1/4 inch of toe out on either side. We may have flown too close to the sun here. That's a lot of toe out, but it's even on the other side, which was my main concern. So this could have gone very south, hit the fan, backfired, however you want to say it. I would have had to redone the rear entirely, but it's even. That's all I wanted. If it's too much rear toe out, we can adjust other stuff and compensate for it. So I'm just taking it for a drive right now, and this thing, the rotation is awesome. Doesn't feel like the same car. I'm excited to take this to the autocross, see what it does. Okay, so it's definitely a lot more tail happy than it was. Some more stuff that I did was add front wheel spacers, 1-inch wheel spacers on the front and none at the rear. I also pumped the rears up to 45 PSI, and I added this rear strut tower brace. Again, all of this stuff is to just try to make it slide around more. And we definitely did that. I wish it was even still a little bit looser than it is. When I took it to the autocross, I was kind of more interested in sliding around than actually going fast. It's like a different car now. I've got to relearn it all over again. So anyway, it's pretty good. I still wouldn't call it fast. Big in part being, well, power, one thing. It's a tired QR25, makes like 140 horsepower or something. But also these tires are hard as rocks. They're all seasons, and they don't grip up too good. So that would be the next upgrade, is wheels and tires. The issue with wheels and tires is they cost money. So I'm done for now. Subscribe.